Hey, Klein Oak, I want to share something with you that's really, really important to our school, to the legacy of Klein Oak, and some families who this really matters to them a great deal. Our Klein Oak Memorial Garden that sits behind me memorializes the names of former students who passed away untimely and oftentimes too soon. And it's something it's a sacred place for our school. It's something that I want you all to understand why it exists and why it's so sacred and why we need to treasure it and treat it the right way. So,
Hi, I'm Kathy Arlano, and I was one of the principals here for 14 years. Actually, I've been here for 29 years, first as a drill team director and then as a principal. I was in charge of clubs and organizations back in the early 2000s. In 2006, we had several students, we had 3 as a matter of fact, that all passed away 1 month after the other in 3 separate incidents. That's how the Memorial Garden came to be.
Klein Oak has meant the world to my family, and a big reason for that is that we moved here in 1988, and before we were ever students here, our father was the baseball coach. So our first dreams in childhood, we were a big sports family, was playing at Klein Oak and wearing the black and gold. And so that was always our first goal and dream as an athlete. So as a child, I remember watching my brothers and numerous classes of Klein Oak Panthers run out of that tunnel as football players. And, we all couldn't wait to get the opportunity to do that. So Klein Oak has been special in our lives well before we were ever students here.
That I know, Klein Oak meant a lot to him, the relationships he made while he was here, and before he got here at Hildebrandt. Those relationships for us have carried on with our family. And I know that's one of the things that was most important to him is the people that he went to school with, and the friends that he made at Klein Oak.
The class decided that they wanted to do something in memory of those students and to give the students an opportunity to visit the garden and to be able to see the importance of life, basically.
Students. As a former Klein Oak student, I remember one of my friends, his name was Sean. He graduated with me in 2011, and when he was in college, he died because of a terrible accident. When I come out here, I think of him, and he was so involved with a bunch of different clubs that we had going on, and he was a good student and just a good friend. And so this is an important area where I can remember him and where all of us from the class of 2011 can remember him.
So the garden was actually designed by a young man that was getting his Eagle Scout. And he actually wanted to do it as his Eagle Scout project. So what we did was he took it on, and the graphics design up in Mr. Sada's room actually drafted the original blueprints for the garden.
It is really important to me. I had a niece who graduated from Klein Oak in 2000, and we lost her 2.5 years later to cystic fibrosis. And her time here was good. She was doing well. She loved being here, and having her name out there keeps her here. It keeps her here with me. She was a vibrant person. Never met a stranger. She was always up to talk to anybody and to do anything. Just a really special person, and it really makes me happy to know that she's memorialized out here so that anybody can look at that stone and say, Joy Dobbs went to school here, and she graduated in 2000, and she loved going to school here.
They wanted something that would commemorate the lives of the young students. So what we did, being over clubs and organizations, the class of 2006-07 went in and raised money to start the garden. And we found a company to help us, and every organization in the school took part on a Saturday, came up here and actually planted the plants and used the design that was given to us and actually built it. And from that, we actually dedicated it on September 4th of 2007 and had the first we originally looked at brick, but then decided that because of the cost that we wouldn't put brick, we would actually put plates of the students that we knew of that had passed away in former years. We also included not only students that had passed away, but former students that had gone to Klein Oak that had passed away, and also teachers.
Mikey was a very quiet person in choir when he was, in terms of the general overview of like how he is, but when he's talking to certain people, he was always helping people under the radar. He was always that person who even helped me the first time I was ever in choir at Klein Oak, with him being a sophomore and I was a freshman. He helped me so much, and we just kept on helping each other as we moved up to the higher choirs together, and especially when he loved to mess around, to joke around with me, to always be that person who was giving me a hard time, but like in a good way. And he's the type of person that you acknowledge and you never forget that person, even as you go into college, as you begin to have a family, as you become an elderly. You never forget that type of person, and that's the person that Mikey was. And I'm so thankful that I was able to meet him, to be able to be friends with him, to be able to know him for who he was, as the person who always wanted to have fun.
I also remember in 2016, the first year I was teaching here, we had a student, his name was Mauricio, who died in a terrible car accident, and I always think of him as well. Mauricio loved Klein Oak, he laughed all the time, he had so many great friends here, and I miss him a lot. And it's one of my favorite things to do is come out here and remember him and remember what Klein Oak meant to him and how Klein Oak supported him and how the community rallied around that family.
All right, hey guys, Mr. Lammers, I wanted to just kind of put a little stamp on this after talking to a lot of people, who have known students whose name is resting here. I didn't go here. I didn't know a lot of these students, but watching people tell their story, and each of these names, that was a person. They had a family and they had friends, and they did something here on this campus. They found a way to make their mark, and in some way, this was a special place for them, and there were special people here. So please, when you see this, let's make sure we honor this place and celebrate the people that came before us, that walked these halls, that did a lot of the things that you guys are doing today. They did those things too, and let's just make sure we honor them.